Good morning, Jillian.
Good morning, Bill.
So, before we get started, Jillian, I'd like some information on you. Tell me about Jillian Strange,
Well,
professionally and personally.
I am a teacher with the Saskatoon Public School Division, and I have been teaching with impoverished kids for a long time, doing a lot of work with re-engaging kids in learning. And so I have a great love for working with kids and kids that have some trouble sometimes in their lives. And then I had the great benefit of taking a year off last year and traveling around the world, and I brought my son with me. He's 12 at that time, he's 13 now, and we got to do a bit of visiting around the world, place to place in Europe, in Canada, in Africa, and in Peru. He's an important part of my life, and it was a wonderful way to travel.
Great. So let's get some more background that we just got already on your trip. That's great.
Sorry, because I know what...
Okay, can you give me a description of your experience in Arusha, Tanzania at the Hillcrest Nursery School?
So Jake and I chose to volunteer a couple of the times while we were traveling. And one of them was Arusha, another one was in Peru. But in Arusha, we worked with nursery school, Hillcrest. And they take children, well, one of the kids were 1 year old, but mainly 2 years old to 7, 8 years old. And they do teach English to their kids. And they start with the 2-year-olds. So they're not just playing, they are actually learning. We spent 6 weeks there. Jake worked with 5-year-olds. There was 45 children in that room on plank benches, and they were taught like you would teach a grade 1 or 2-year-old, grade 1 or 2 in Canada. So very rigid, traditional, and you don't move, and there's lots of you on a bench, about 10 people on one bench. I worked with the 7-year-olds, there was a little bit fewer of them, but the same thing. Sitting on benches, learning English on the chalkboard, and we were sort of a metal shack that was attached to the wall of the compound that the school was in. We spent a lot of time doing one-on-one work, handing out porridge, handing out lunch, helping clean the dishes on the ground in big buckets of water, helping the teachers prepare materials. It was an incredible experience for the both of us. So we found when we were there that there's a lot of need. Half of that school is children that they have invited to be there without paying. And in Arusha, everybody has to pay for their schooling. There is no free funded government schooling. Mm-hmm. And so half of the nursery school has sometimes paying clients, and the other half are invited. And they provide 2 meals, their clothing, and 4 teachers, and the space that they have to rent. Although the playground is the nuisance grounds, with the children who aren't at the school watching from the sidelines. It was hard, but it was also glorious. Watching my 12-year-old, myself, working with those kids, amazing.
So that brings us to, why did you decide to fundraise for the Hillcrest Nursery School?
They have a lot of need. The people that we lived with when we were in Arusha was the family that are running the school. They're the directors of the school. The woman, Isabel, she is Maasai, and the Maasai people are fairly marginalized, very poor, and she grew up in that neighborhood extremely poor. She made her way up the ladder to get a teaching degree in the end, which is almost unbelievable. Isaac, her husband, is from Kenya, but he is a man that is deeply embedded in social values. And so between the two of them, they decided that their children who can't go to school in their neighborhood have to be able to go to school. So they started teaching out of the church and then moving out bigger as they got a few people from the neighborhood who could actually pay, and then they got a rental space. But most of what happens for that school comes out of their pockets. Isaac would work all through the night running taxi for people just to be able to make ends meet for his family, but also for the school. They survive on donations for the kids. Half the population of the school, which is about 100 kids, come from their pocket or donations, and their pockets aren't big enough. We can't even compare to what their lifestyle is to ours, and they need the money for the teachers' salaries. They need the money for the uniforms. The kids won't have clothes if they don't have the uniforms. They come in rags otherwise. The school has been growing pretty much every year. They went from 30 kids to 115 in 2 years. And so because of that growth, they're always playing catch up and run and see and scramble. And I feel that they need help.
Okay, so would you describe the process to move the money to the school once you've made this money, and the intermediaries in that process?
Sure thing. What they have done is they've partnered with their church. The church is big in their lives, and the church is also pretty much the only social organization that will support people in their community. And so between the church and themselves, they have 3 signers on a bank account that comes through Germany, actually. So it's a well-established organization that has recognized them as a non-profit, and they have to have 3 signers to take any money out of that bank account. They've given me all the information to do transfers to that account. That they need a church signer plus the 2 directors to be able to use the money for the school. We also know that there's a fair bit of stability with how they've been running it, because 2 different volunteer organizations set up volunteers to work in their school to help them have, and that's the program that Jake and I was part of. So I know that they're also recognized as a agency that is there that needs help.
Okay, and last question. You've made this your personal mission. Why should other people share their money or resources?
When I think about the time that I spent there, and I work with children who have need in Saskatoon, and so I donate most of my human hours for the kids here. And I know that that's extremely important, but when you compare it to the lives of the children there, and the fact that they have almost no access to outside funding other than the volunteers who show up at their place. They don't have an organization on the ground that's international. They're small. They have nobody really who can bring money in other than the families in their neighborhood that have a little bit more than the others. They need help, and I know I have a direct link and I'm able to do something about it. I really feel that they need something more, and because I had a personal statement in it and I worked with them one-on-one, and I know these kids and I know the parents and I know the family that's running it, I know how full of integrity and honesty and values they have, and I think they need something. I think if anybody has the feeling that they want to give to somebody who's in need, these people will have it directly with no intermediating.
So Jill, we're going to talk about our benefit that's on November 7th at the Sheraton Cavalier, beginning at 6:30 for cocktails and 7 o'clock for dinner. And then you will give a short presentation, and then we'll have some kind of entertainment. So, do you have any more details than that?
Well, I think that if you want to donate to the people of Arusha at Hillcrest Nursery, this is a fun way of getting together like-minded people who would like to give to others. The fact that you're participating in a gala dinner and dance has its own fun element, because you, in purchasing your tickets, are not only getting to have a dress up and a good meal, you're giving clothing, you're giving food, you're giving education to a whole bunch of people. And so for me, the link is pretty direct. And if you feel that you want to donate directly to people that I know, that I've lived with and worked with, this one will be a way that you can connect more directly to them. And I can tell you my stories of living with them every day and the kids that were there. And so that maybe you have a better sense of what you're doing with your money if you donate to Hillcrest School.
So again, the cost of this event will be $100. You'll be able to find out more information again on that website, www.hillcrestnursery.ca, and there will be links for you to be able to get in touch with somebody to purchase a ticket. Okay, thanks very much,
Thank
Jill.
you.